Good day from a hotel balcony here in Skopje, where I'm not going to lie, I had a little bit of a dual focus around my trip this week to cover Shelbourne's Conference League game with Shendika. Naturally, the game that was the initial focus, but when the draw happened, had a bit of a look at the map and figured out that this week also gave me a chance to do something I've been trying to do for a while, which was to visit all of UEFA's 55 member nations. I had two left to go, Kosovo and Albania. Suggestions of family holidays in that part of the world were being met by a somewhat glacial response. And this trip to face a team, Shendika, from the Albanian part of North Macedonia, quite close also to the border with Kosovo, opened up the opportunity to do it. Now, slight issue when it turned out that the venue was actually in Skopje, not Tetovo, which would have been a little bit easier. But I've sort of modified my trip this week to allow myself. I flew into Kosovo on Tuesday, place I always wanted to see. A new nation, the newest nation in UEFA, still not recognised by some of the other nations within it. Got to have a look around there and see a country that, let's be honest, is also outperforming Ireland at the moment, despite being its first ever campaign. The first ever campaign was in 2018. But yeah, from Kosovo I got the bus here to Skopje, and yeah, from Skopje it's onwards to Tirana. It's a 5-6 hour bus from here into Tirana, and that will complete the set for me to 55 UEFA members. Now, I've done a piece on this for Saturday. I guess there's an element of the personal, but maybe a bit more about the personalities along the way. It's pretty much spanning 2 decades of football history, I guess, in both an Irish context and global international context. And in fact, really, when you look at it, there's a huge sort of social history element and what's happened in this time. If you're talking about some of the member states like Ukraine, Israel, Russia, some are exiled at the moment, some maybe should be, and across this period of time, there's been a lot of change. You think of a Euros final in Ukraine in 2012, for example, which just seems so out of sync with the world that we're in today. So yeah, I got a little bit nostalgic the other day planning. I got out some old team sheets from various games, from San Marino and Stephen Ireland's last game for Ireland, tournament games, some involving Ireland, some not involving Ireland, some maybe not even in Europe. But it probably just sort of brought me down a road of a degree of nostalgia. And it's funny, I met a friend of mine recently who was almost saying, felt a little bit of sympathy that I'd come on to the football beat when I did. It was in the hangover from 3 World Cups and the so-called glory years. And look, that's true. It would be nice to be looking back over a sort of a memory book of glorious Irish victories as opposed to maybe infamous defeats. But I think maybe there's another way of looking at it. I suppose you look across this 20-year period, we've had the expansion of UEFA. We've had the new nations. I suppose across the 90s, the breakup of the old Soviet Union into the 2000s, and I suppose the former Yugoslavia, and the football beat does afford you the opportunity, and I think that Ireland fans can relate to this, to go to parts of the world that you would never otherwise visit. And I think that's part of the power of the universality of football. And equally as well, I think if you look at this sort of 20-year period as well, we've gone from a position where League of Ireland clubs would never be involved in European football after July, maybe August at best, and now we're in a situation where a trip like this in October is almost routine. And that's born out of some of the UEFA politicking as well. And this has been probably an unexpected positive consequence of that, to have sort of random games and random trips. And there's Shells fans here having the trip of a lifetime in some cases that they couldn't have imagined. but I think it also does reflect the improvement of the League of Ireland clubs in that time, and really hopefully the paths that they can forge across Europe will lead in time to a more successful international team and reporting more victories rather than maybe some of the sort of comical defeats and misfortunes across the period of time. So yeah, look, I've got a piece on Saturday. Is it a bit self-indulgent? Possibly. But there is also, I suppose, a lot in there about the various characters across the period of time, from the Delaney years to Trapattoni to Ollie Byrne, and many more besides, reflecting what has been, I guess, a privilege to do it, to see this world through, I suppose, the lens of football. So yeah, that piece is in Saturday's newspaper. It'll be online, and hopefully, the next 20 years will bring even more fun times from an Irish football perspective.